Hey everyone, it's Shoja Greerwan. You're listening to another great pod by the Cleveland Sports Collective.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cleveland Sports Collective Podcast Network. I'm Tom Moore, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Neil Dunworth, for a preview of the Cleveland Browns playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, let's set the stage here. The Browns are going into Kansas City on Sunday as a 10-point underdog to the Chiefs, who have only lost one game that really mattered since Week 10 of the 2019 season. The Chiefs were 6th in scoring this year, while the Browns were 21st in points allowed. All right, Neil, let's start breaking this down. How are the Browns going to win this one? First off, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I've been giddy all week, really, to be honest with you, Tom. Looking forward to this game. There's just something magical about this team, and I don't think it's any news to anybody that taking since week 7, really, I suppose onwards, adversity has been this team's friend. And I think there isn't anything more daunting than coming up against Patrick Mahomes and the Super Bowl champions of last year. And I got to hand it to a couple of media people, national media people in the US, that they've really kind of jumped on the Browns bandwagon. And I'm not one of these guys that kind of detracts on people who jump on a bandwagon. I kind of like it when it's us, because it's about time. It's about time we had bandwagon jumpers, and there's one person I'm going to call out here as well. Definitely not a bandwagon jumper. Been very, very nice and courteous towards the Browns all year, is Kyle Brandt. He's I don't know if you saw his motivational video for the Browns during the week, but all that stuff is nice to hear, and I think it's nice to see in a build up for this, because you will have a lot of sections of, I suppose, of analysis that will say that that Vegas has it right on the 10-point difference between the two teams. But call it orange and brown glasses or whatever, Tom. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to be a 10-point victory for Kansas City. And I think this team, as we're hopefully going to show and hopefully going to convince people who are listening, this team has every single bit of a chance to win this game. Every single opportunity to win this game, should I say, as KC do to beat the Browns this week.
That's true. And I think, one of the things that you kind of touched on, and we've just seen over the course of, the season, this is one of the most mentally tough and resilient Browns teams that I can remember in a long time. Everything they've gone through, and we keep repeating this almost on a weekly basis when we break down, the post-game podcast, that it seems like nothing that this team gets thrown at them phases them. Kevin Stefanski is said all along, just focus on what we control, embrace the suck. And there were definitely last year's Browns team 3-4 years ago, 10-15 years ago. There's no way a Browns team would have been where they are today if they had not, this team is just so mentally strong, and obviously the talent's there, but the talent can only take you so far, as we saw last season. Nothing seems to break these guys. Nothing seems to, phase them. You lose your head coach, you lose 2 starting offensive linemen, you lose this guy, you lose that guy. They just keep plugging along. And I think, we're going to see that tomorrow again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know what, you mentioned you lose this guy, you lose that guy, you lose your head coach. Well, guess who's back? After one of the biggest victories in the Browns, I'm going to say Browns' recent history, since they've definitely probably the biggest victory they've had since they've come back, was last Sunday. And I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that either, that it's probably the biggest victory since the Bernie Kosar era as well with this Browns team. And we did it without a head coach, and we did it without a Pro Bowl lineman. Probably 2 Pro Bowl linemen, considering Kendall Lamb had to come in the first half. And we did it without, and I know he's not going to be there, but we did it without people like OBJ. We did it without Denzel Ward, Kevin Johnson. I'm trying to think who else was out last week. But it's just, it was like, if you were to pick our top 8 players, we were missing about half of them, half our top 8 players across offense and defense. And then put it into it, we were missing almost all of our offensive coaches. It was nothing short of an absolute miracle that the Browns won last week, but a miracle made by hard work, endeavor, belief, and a structure that's been implemented, as you said, by Kevin Stefanski and his band of merry coaches. I hope that isn't patronizing to call them that, but they really are. They've been a fantastic. They're a fantastic unit. We talk about offensive lines being a unit, but this coaching unit is as together and it's as coherent as any coaching unit since the Browns have returned in '99. And to be honest with you, isn't it brilliant the fact that you're looking at other teams in the playoffs? You're looking at Bieniemy getting head coaching talk. You're looking at Dayball. Brian Dayball is getting head coaching talk. Brandon Staley all getting head coaching talk. Long may our guys go under the radar. Long may they go under the radar and continue to stay together, because I think they're a huge piece. But and getting back to the adversity piece, we are. The adversity we have here is the fact that nobody really gives us a chance. And I think that feeds into Baker Mayfield. It feeds into a lot of players in this team's natural mindset of the underdog mindset. Because we have our head coach, we have our O-line men, we have fingers crossed, we have Jack Conklin back. We have our two boundary corner, our slot corner back. So things in a roundabout way have gotten easier for this Cleveland Browns team, but the adversity still stays there. And that's going to be really, really interesting dynamic to this game, and one that I'm sure that Kevin Stefanski will be able to allow this team to meet the moment with.
And I think it just, it highlights just what a difference it makes when you have actual adult professional coaches in the room and on the sidelines. And it sounds ridiculous, but there's just no other way, to say it. Hold on one second. We haven't seen that, for far too long with this team. And it just shows how much when everybody's working together, people are not worrying about personal victories. People aren't worrying about, who's getting the credit for everything, just what you can accomplish. So let's start turning our focus a little bit more on the game tomorrow. I think everyone is pretty much expecting, I didn't check to see what the over under is for the game, but I think everyone is expecting that there's going to be a lot of points that are going to be scored tomorrow. And the one thing that I'm holding up as a positive for the Browns is that they've shown that they can score on anyone this year. When you look at what they did against Indianapolis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Washington, those were all teams that made the playoffs. The Browns put, points up on those guys. And while the defense on the Browns gets its fair share of criticism, and I think, a lot of it's deserved, but the Chiefs allowed 22.6 points per game this year, which is only about 3.5 points less than what the Browns did. So there's going to be points there for the Browns to take if they can grab them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is, I think, where the great equalizer is between these two teams, because we know from watching the Cleveland Browns that, yes, their defense has been far from ideal this year, but there have been games where our defense has won the game for us. It's been, that our defense has helped us to win the game, that it hasn't just been a case of score. And in a lesser way, I would say last week's game was very much a defensive game. Guys came up trumps there that never came up trumps before. MJ Stewart, Taki, Porter Gustin, all with interceptions, all born out of maybe poor play by Brendan Roethlisberger, but pressure up front, pressure on this team, and they were behind the 8 ball. The defense got the initial touchdown that put this team behind the 8 ball, and it allowed Baker then to flourish with a 7-point lead. But when you look at little things like PFF gradings, there isn't that much between the Browns and KC and the Chiefs with regards to gradings on PFF. Kansas City grades out as the 19th best defense, and Cleveland grades out as the 20th. In the run game, they grade out pretty much similarly. Cleveland grade out at the 18th best, and Kansas City grade out at the 21st best. There's a bit of a disparity, would you believe, in the pass rush. So this is something that I think that the Browns are going to rely on very heavily is bringing our pass rushers Browns have the 11th best pass rush in the league, as per PFF. I suppose that would be pretty obvious having somebody like Myles Garrett there. But then again, Olivier Vernon, who won't be there at the weekend, obviously did his fair share in Myles' absence as well to keep that high. But Kansas City only have the 22nd best pass rush. Now, if you've got the 22nd best pass rush against what we will find out later, which is no secret, is the best O-line in the NFL at the moment, that's going to be hopefully a massive plus point for us. That if we can keep Baker clean, that's going to be huge. And in coverage, the Kansas City are 15th best in coverage, and the Browns 22nd best in coverage as per PFF. And I think the defenses are going to have a lot of a say in this game. And while I don't want the Browns to have to rely on trying to break Patrick Mahomes, because lots of teams have tried to rely on that before and have failed, I do think that we hopefully will have enough, especially to be able to frustrate this team and to bend and not break. I think as much as they will need to try and frustrate our offense too.
All right. So speaking of the defense, this is something I picked up from ESPN. You know, one of the key points I think the defense needs to do, that I want to see them do, is they're going to have to just stay disciplined in a way they have never, they've got to just stay disciplined and run their assignments. And there was something on ESPN that they took, including last week's game against Pittsburgh. The Browns defense has played man coverage only a little over 26% of the time this year. I'm expecting that number to decrease significantly against the Chiefs tomorrow. They cannot go man to man with these guys. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce are just going to eat these guys alive. So the ESPN analysis talked about if the Browns go into a zone heavy approach and just be disciplined, that's really what they're going to be able to do to have hopefully the best success against Mahomes. They said it's about alignment, assignment, and responsibility. And that goes back to what, we've talked about all year. What this defense does and what this defense is forced to do is play a zone, let the guy catch the ball, and then for God's sake, just tackle them. And I think that's something that more so than any other week, that's what they're going to have to do tomorrow. They're going to give up yardage. They're going to, we saw that last week. It got to at one point during the game where Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, were talking about, oh my gosh, their defense is giving up so much yardage. They're playing so soft. And I was like, have you guys not watched the Browns film at all this year? This is what this defense does. It's just the way they have to play. And I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow. I mean, you can't, maybe in a normal situation, you could let Denzel Ward go one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. Denzel Ward coming off 2 weeks of COVID. I'm not sure that that's probably going to be a very good strategy, but I just think you got to make Kansas City grind out these drives and hope that you make a mistake. And the other thing that I read, and I can't remember, I want to attribute this, I can't remember who to attribute this to, but the Chiefs are kind of weak on the middle of their offensive line. So if they can get pressure off the edge and get Mahomes to step up into the pocket, there's going to be opportunities there. Maybe it won't be Garrett, maybe it won't be Claiborne on the sack, but the guys in the middle of the line are going to be there to deliver a hit. And even if you don't sack him, like we saw last week, you get pressure on the quarterback and they make a bad throw, and that could turn into an incompletion, interception, and that's almost as good as a sack.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it was they're missing a center for this game. I really should have the injury report up and see who's gone on IR and such. But I think our old friend Aston Reiter is going to be center for them again on Sunday. So another Browns connection there. But they've been strong in their on their O-line as well. They've been 9th in pass blocking, 11th in run blocking, so they have a coherent unit there. But as you say, up the middle is where it is proposed that we will get at them. And I'm sure that people like Larry Ogunjobi, Sheldon Richardson, and maybe we might see a glimpse of Jordan Elliott in there that might come in and help there as well on Sunday. But it's going to be an intriguing battle, because where they are kind of where they're weak, we can exploit it and look. Basically, what I'm trying to do, Tom, here is I'm trying to dance around the fact that our defensive line is pretty much going to mask the outcome of this game, because if they don't get pressure, I can't hold my hat up and say, yes, look, we're definitely going to get 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions, or we're going to be able to cover Travis Kelce over the middle. You just can't say that. But the only thing that you can say is that the only proven entity this defense has is our defensive line. So fingers crossed that that's going to pan out for the coming for the coming Sunday. I suppose as well with regards to, even if we do get pressure on Pat Mahomes, it's not going to be a guarantee that he's going to make a mistake. We've all seen him throw that side arm, or even, sometimes he could throw behind his back and he'd still probably get in target. But even under pressure this year, he's been the 6th best quarterback in the league. And from a clean pocket, he's been the 6th best quarterback in the league. So it's much of a muchness whether you do get pressure on him or not. But obviously, look, you want to have him under duress a small little bit. He usually holds it for about 2.7 seconds in the pocket, so that should hopefully get Myles Garrett a bit of time to get out his knife and fork and to eat. And it's going to be a battle that I'm really looking forward to.
And it only takes one. One play, maybe. Obviously they're not going to get 5 turnovers tomorrow, but maybe they get 1, or maybe they just get, they force them into an incompletion at just the right time, and that's all the defense really needs to do is just, like we talked about, tackle your man, stay disciplined, and just hold on as best you can, and maybe just make that one play that makes a difference tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So I think, since we're assuming there's going to be a lot of points, one thing the Browns have to do on offense is they really have to make the most of all their opportunities when they have the ball, and especially in the red zone. I picked this up from Cleveland.com. The Browns were ranked 3rd in red zone efficiency this season. They converted 72.4% of the time, and the Chiefs come in allowing a league high 76.6% conversion rate on touchdowns, and they were 30th in the league in goal line situations. They allowed 84% conversion rate when the other team got into a first and goal situation. So when the Browns get in the red zone, they got to leave Cody Parkey on the bench. They've got to get touchdowns anytime they go in the red zone. And that's a matchup that looks like it favors the Browns. People are like, well, they're not going to be able to stop Kansas City, but if the Browns can get down inside the 20, can the Chiefs stop the Browns?
That's actually a fair point. It's a really, really fair point, because we've put up points this year. Above a lot of other years, it's we've scored over 40 quite a lot. And you mentioned it, I think you mentioned it at the start of the podcast as well. We've scored 40 against some good teams, some good defensive teams as well. So we shouldn't be daunted by having a shootout against Pat Mahomes. Baker's not going to be daunted. He scored, what was it, 68 points on him for Oklahoma against Texas
and that's
Tech.
What I'm assuming. I'm kind of thinking that's what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm not sure I'm not sure a lot of people are going to survive that type of game.
I wonder if I can maybe get a line from the bookies, and will it go over 100 points in the game, because you don't see that too often. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's ever happened, but it's it's definitely an intriguing prospect. And you mentioned there that we will have to score touchdowns. That's a really interesting stat that you mentioned from Cleveland.com with regards to what we do in the red zone and what they don't do in the red zone from a defensive point of view. Because the more and more I think about this game, the more I think we do have the horses to cause issues, cause more than just some subtle issues, some big issues for this defense. I'm not going to say that we were going to be able to score at will like we have at some stages this year. I'm not going to say we're going to go up to 28-0 lead in the first quarter. But if this was an up the field, down the field kind of a situation whereby we were tasked with having to score to keep up with Kansas City, I think we can do that. I absolutely think we can do that. I've got utmost faith in Baker. I really do. Baker, very first game of the season this year, I had a little mini meltdown at halftime, wondering what the hell is going on with Baker. And then after, I suppose, a dressing down from our good mate John Cahill, I realized that no, Baker isn't an issue. And then 4 or 5 weeks later, I had to repay the favor to John. he was beginning to waver and wobble on the Baker train. But apart from that, I've always been a huge big Baker fan. He's proven it this year. He's the number 10. He's the 10th best passing quarterback in the league this year. You know, he's the fifth. This is actually a really interesting stat. Pat Mahomes is the 16th best deep ball thrower as per PFF this year, whereas Baker is the fifth. Now, everybody goes on about Pat Mahomes' cannon of an arm, but he hasn't been throwing the ball very long this year, whereas Baker has gotten the chunk plays when he's needed them, and he's gotten them accurately, and he's been really accurate to the middle of the field. You know, when he's had to throw that, and even it's very interesting when you look at the adjusted completion percentages for the two quarterbacks as well. Pat Mahomes has had 32 drops from wide receivers this year, and Baker's had 33. So like Baker's had a lot of, we would consider Baker having a lot of drops, but Pat Mahomes has had those as well. It's just really going to be a mano kind of a situation, and there's two. Pat Mahomes has a more subtle ego, but certainly has an ego. But Baker's is right in your face. And I think you're going to see fireworks from the two of them. And as you said, points, there's going to definitely be points. And it will be touchdowns will win this game. We're not going to be able to run out a victory by, two field goal drives to the end of the game to kind of shore up a victory. I don't think it's going to be that kind of game. It's going to be touchdowns that are going to be needed. And it's just a mouth-watering prospect I sincerely think isn't getting as much of a run in the public sphere as maybe a game like the Ravens and the Bills, or even Tom versus Drew Brees. I can understand why there's more kind of spotlights than other games, but this could be a game for the neutral more so than those two other games that I mentioned as well.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential to be an entertaining game if you're a neutral fan. Hopefully it's entertaining in the right reasons for us. But if you're a neutral fan who just wants to watch, two offenses that are very talented, if offensive football is what you want to watch, that's probably the game. But probably both games on Sunday are the games that you're going to want to watch. But so I also kind of look back, trying to think, what are the avenues? What are the ways that the Browns can win this? So I went back, and if you go back to the start of 2019, the Chiefs have only lost 5 games when they've tried. We're throwing out the season finale this year. They didn't play anybody. It didn't matter. So I went back and I tried to figure out, is there some common denominator in those 5 games that they've lost? And it turns out that in those games, they've given up an average of 146 rushing yards, and the opposing team has won the time of possession battle by controlling the ball for an average of 36 minutes a game. Right there, that says the Browns should have an advantage with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt being able to run the ball. On top of that, and this is again, I think I got this from Cleveland.com again, Chiefs this year were 31st in rush DVOA, which measures performance per play against an average defense. PFF ranks the defense 21st against the run. And where the Chiefs were really hurt is when teams run to the right side, when the offense runs to the right side. They were 31st in limiting runs behind the right tackle and 27th when they were going around the right end. So that speaks to Wyatt Teller, hopefully Jack Conklin, feasting on that right side with Hunt and Chubb just working them into death. And then this is the other thing. Browns lead the NFL in yardage around running to the right side. Chiefs are weakest in defending runs against the right side. Browns are tops against running the ball on the right side. All right. I know some of the talk is you can't play into your tendencies. You got to go against that because the Chiefs are going to be expecting that. But there are certain times where I think you just have to do what you do best and keep doing it till the team shows that you can stop it.
Oh, absolutely. Bill Belichick has been the master of that. That's all he's done in his career in New England. He's basically done what everyone expected him to do because he knows he's good at it. And when Gronk and when were heavily loading up in tight ends, absolutely, just threw to tight ends. Everybody knew they were going to do it, So I'm a big believer that this rushing offense is like, even if somebody knows what's going to happen, Nick Chubb is generational enough that he's going to make things happen regardless. I think people are afraid that there is a scaredness. I saw a superb quote from him today, or was it yesterday, about why he doesn't use social media and just the inner confidence he has. And he said that have you ever seen a Lamborghini ad on TV? They don't need to advertise, and that's the kind of self-confidence he has. He's nice and quiet, and he doesn't say much, but that silent assassin mentality allows him to perform on the field. And then you've got Kareem Hunt. Do you think Kareem Hunt's going to sit there and look at those jerseys and not think, I should have a ring? I should have a ring. You guys drop me. Yes, all because of his own doing. Absolutely, 100%. Not standing up for anything like that. They probably made the right decision. But Kareem Hunt is going to have a serious axe to grind with people here. And for me, that running game is it when you've got the two of those guys in there, they're so different. And the fact that you can throw screen passes to them, because let's not forget that Baker's thrown a hell of a lot of screen passes to Nick Chubb in the last 5 or 6 weeks, and also to Kareem Hunt. So it's an exciting opportunity. I think we will run to the right regardless of whether they think it's coming or not, because I don't think that they've got the linebackers to cope with that kind of running, with our running offense. And Daniel Sorensen is while he gets on a lot of plays, he's a good tackler. He is not an elite safety, and I think that's very much so where I think the Browns are going to target is that run game, especially as you said, to the right hand side. And long may it continue that we feast in those chunk yards on the ground, especially in the screen game, because I'm really liking that. I'm really liking those screen passes to Nick Chubb. Allowing him to get some yards after the catch as well, because he's well able to do it, and it's something that people kind of presumed he just wasn't able to do. So it's good to see him doing that now.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice, because just because they don't do it doesn't mean they can't do it. And that catch and run he had last week, and the same with Jarvis Landry. He takes a 10-yard pass and turns it into a 40-yard touchdown, because that's just what Jarvis Landry does.
Because of the blocking as well, the wide receiver blocking Donovan Peoples-Jones. I can safely say I didn't think we would see Donovan Peoples-Jones having this much of an impact this time of the year. Massive reason for it is Carter Hodge went down, obviously, but he's back as well. We've got a full complement on our wide receiver receiver core for, well, obviously missing OBJ, but this is huge. We've got options. We've got so many options. And guess what, Tom? We got to practice this week.
I know
that's a novelty in itself.
That's amazing. This is, it's been such a strange week. We've spent the whole week, appreciating just the fact that it's been a mostly normal week for the team. It's been wonderful because we've been talking playoffs all week, and we haven't been worried about tracking flights, worrying about what, offensive coordinator who's going to fail that they're going to hire, what college coach who's going to fail they're going to hire, what are they going to do? Everything has been focused on what we should be focused on in January in Cleveland, which is oh my God, the Browns are in the playoffs. How are they going to win this game? What are they going to do? What are you doing? Where are you going to be 3:00 on Sunday? Where are you going to be watching the game? It's and that actually is kind of where you're going to be watching the game doesn't really impact because it's a road game, but that made me think about one of the advantages possibly, going to Kansas City is always going to be a hard proposition for them to win anyways. If they were going to Kansas City with a full stadium, that would really make it that much harder. But the fact that there's only going to be, I think the max is 16,000 fans there tomorrow. I think that kind of takes a little bit. I think home field advantage is shifted a little bit this year in the NFL. I think where the home field advantage comes from is you don't have to worry about the travel. You don't have to worry about being exposed. You don't have to deal with all of the COVID issues. But I think it helps the road team a little bit in the fact that they're not dealing with, a full stadium screaming and loud and not being able to call out their signals, not being able to figure out what the heck they're going to do. So I think that's going to benefit the Browns a little bit. And hopefully, again, all it takes is one play that they get off that maybe they wouldn't have been able to get off in a normal circumstance because, or one false start that came up because they couldn't hear the snap count. That's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. And look, we've played the biggest road game a Browns team can play, bar Super Bowl, bar the Super Bowl game. Biggest road game you can play is in Pittsburgh. We went there, we won. Hey, monkeys off lots of collective backs. 20 years of players' backs. Their monkeys are off off their backs. We're going to go down to Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be daunting. You know, it's just another target and another team's back for this team, and huge underdog mentality should see them through, especially when they don't have the extra support, as you mentioned, in the stadium. I'm not too worried about the road aspect of the game. It's most likely going to be a fantastic day down there. There should be no excuses for the elements. The elements won't play into this game, not like when we played Las Vegas in Cleveland this year, and that 3-game stretch of grapple, I think is what is what they called it. We're definitely not going to see that, I don't think, in Kansas City this weekend. Could be wrong, but yeah, hopefully everything is right. Hopefully it's pitch perfect, that there's no excuses for Kansas City. There's no excuses for the Browns. Just go out and best team wins, because that's how you develop a legend.
Alrighty. Do we want to do a prediction? Should we do a prediction?
I don't think I could say Browns 38, Kansas City 31. I don't think I could say that, because it could literally be any score. It could be any score at all. And it wouldn't surprise me if we got a score that has never been had in the NFL before. You know, one of those quirky scores that's never happened in a game before. I think the Browns can win this game. I certainly do. I think the Browns can win a shootout. It's a battle-hardened team. We've been down a lot. We've been chased. We've been caught in the last quarter of games, and we've gone on to win them. Thinking of the Titans game, thinking of we've caught teams that have got out to a big lead. Thinking of the Baltimore game, yes, they won it with a field goal with the last kick of the game, but we've done both, and I sincerely think the Browns can win this game. Don't think they'll win it by a lot. I don't think they'll win it by a lot, but I sincerely think that they can win this game. And I'm actually, in my pick'em league, I've actually picked the Browns. I picked the Browns. Now it was plus 3.5 points, but because my friends are silly and they gave me that option, so I said yeah, absolutely. But I do think that the Browns will win.
Okay, I definitely I've gone back and forth all week, and like we've talked about, there's certainly a way they can win. It's so weird, you know. There's Kansas City gets so much hype, and deservedly so, for their offense, the way it's played over the past 3 years. But when you just go through person by person, Browns offense is just as good, or it can be just as good as theirs. It's just going to come down to, you know, how well they execute tomorrow, how well they stay disciplined, you know, catch a break here and there. And I think they have a much better chance than a lot of people are giving them credit for. I just don't know if I can say for sure they're going to win, just because I'm still somewhat conditioned to expect something unexpected to happen. As they've exercised so many demons this year, the one demon they probably have not exercised is the Browns are so good at making you see something you can't unsee over the years during a game. There's that little voice inside my head that's just waiting for, you know, playoff Cody Parkey to do something, or just, you know, something unexpected to happen tomorrow that ends up, they can't just lose. You know, if the Browns lose tomorrow, it's not going to be, you know, they lost 31-20. You know, it was close. Chiefs get one of those late touchdowns to, you know, it's a cover, makes a score, you know, but it's not going to be like that. It kind of takes me back to 1997 with the Indians in the World Series. I remember they were down 3-2 going back to Miami for you know, game 6, and I was leaving work on that Saturday or that Friday, and my boss was like, "What do you think is going to happen?" And I said, "Well, here's what's going to happen. The Indians can't lose game 6, because if they lose game 6 and the World Series is over and it's just 4-2. They've lost 4-2. this is a Cleveland team. They're either going to just lose Saturday, be done, or they're going to win Saturday, and something unexpected is going to happen in Game 7. And we all know what happened. So that's a long way. I think that's a very long and winding and rambling way of saying that I think they can win. I'm not 100% confident in saying that they will win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. And it's probably going to come down to the very end. And we'll just kind of hope. I don't know. You're going to force me to pick a winner? Should I not be a coward?
Yeah, no, I am going to force you to pick a winner because I thought when you were going to go with your analogies, you go with Red Right 88, but you didn't.
Oh, that's that's the whole thing. You go through that. You
That's
go
your
through.
Twitter handle.
I know it's All right, we're gonna go. All right, we've been waiting. Josh and I have been waiting for probably like 2 months for Cody Parkey to emerge and screw something up, but we're going to put positive vibes out there. We're going to say Browns 45-42 with Parkey kicking the winning field goal at the end of the game. How about that?
I'll sign up for that. I'm off on Monday. I don't have work on Monday, and the game kicks off at 8:05 in the evening.
That's
Irish
good time.
time. So we're going to look like midnight. But Tom, as you well know, if we win, I'm not going to bed until probably midnight on Monday, midnight on Tuesday morning. Yeah, I'm staying up if Browns win because it's just been such a magical year. It's been fantastic, and I truly believe that this team does not want to let it end now, and it doesn't want to. It feels that when they say we want more, I truly believe that they think they can get more, and why not? The 2020, 2021, it's been 2 years of complete and utter insanity. Why not add to the insanity? Why not be the insanity of the Cleveland Browns winning the Super Bowl? And if you want to win the Super Bowl, what better way than to progress by beating the Super Bowl champions? So just go and do it. Might as well win it now that we're in it. That's my say.
I mean, you played the game. We're here. May as well win.
Exactly.
All right. We've said a lot. Have we said it all?
I think we have. I think all bar the shouting and getting too excited. I think that it's just time now to simmer down, get ready for the game, and then bring all the positive energy towards supporting this team from afar on Sunday, and hope for the best.
All righty. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another podcast in the Cleveland Sports Collective Network. Please review, like, share this podcast episode if you enjoyed it to help us grow our network. I'm Tom. He's Neil. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And as always, until next time, stay safe and go Browns.
Go Browns.